Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on the program today, do the Texans have their swagger back? I'm going to look at the Texans offense, how they can improve on a really good wild card round, and how they should attack this Chiefs defense. Yesterday, we talked about the Texans defense and how they can stop Patrick Mahomes. Well, today, I got to talk about the Texans offense and how they can get it done in Arrowhead. Before we get going on today's program, I have an offer. Usually it goes to, I'll give away one or two, free raffle tickets, but I want to give it every single person that watches today's video a chance. So anyone who spams Texans over Chiefs 50 times in the comment section, you're getting a free raffle ticket for our giveaway this Saturday. So if you want to have a chance to win something during our Texans versus Chiefs watch party, go down and spam Texans over Chiefs. We're willing it into existence this week that the Texans, for the first time in franchise history, make it to the AFC Championship game. So before I talk about this next week, let's talk about wild card round, because the Texans offense really didn't look like themselves for a while, up against the Chiefs, up against the Ravens, the Dolphins even. I don't remember the last time I watched a Texans football game and was like A+ for the offense. But I think things changed after this play right here. After the fumble by CJ Stroud, and he scrambles out to the right, crazy sidearm pass down the field for 40 yards to Xavier Hutchinson, things changed after that. The offense looks different. The defense looked different. Everything changed. The momentum of everything absolutely swung in the Texans' favor. And if you don't believe me, well, let's look at the stats. Before that scramble and throw, Stroud was 9 for 16, 83 yards, an interception, a 44.53 passer rating, and 5.2 yards per attempt. After, which I kind of like how it's 16 passes before, 16 passes after. Afterwards, 12 of 16, 164 yards, a touchdown, a passer rating of 128.39, and 10.3 yards per attempt. And I'm not saying this is the Texans offense is fixed, but I will say something clicked. Something changed for CJ Stroud and this Texans offense after that play. They needed something. It's almost like in basketball when they say, looks like somebody took the lid off the rim and they're finally able to make some baskets. That's kind of how this Texans offense was after CJ Stroud made that play, because even after he made that amazing play, the rest of the offense seemed like it started to click. And then those key guys for this offense, they showed up. Mixon absolutely had himself a game. 25 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown, as producer Sam Boomer Sooner saying, let's go Joe Mixon. He had a wonderful game for the Texans. He finished it off, a little icing on the cake with that final touchdown of his in the fourth quarter. And then also, wide receiver 1, Nico Collins. He went off as well. 7 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown. He absolutely played his brains out. So I'm thinking if the Texans have a chance to beat the Chiefs, they need to keep that swagger going. They need to build off that Chiefs second half and continue to improve on some of the things that they actually did really well up against the Chargers in Wild Card Weekend. So coming up, I have 3 ways that the Texans can kind of build on that, how they improved up against the Chargers, and how they can carry that into the divisional round up against Kansas City. Before I break that down, first, got to show some love to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. And hey, if you don't want to, look at putting in a lineup for the divisional round weekend, which this is my lineup that I kind of concocted. I didn't want to just have Texans versus Chiefs. I kind of sprinkled in a little bit of Ravens versus Bills in there, a little AFC extravaganza for you. So check out my plays. I have CJ Stroud more on the rushing yards, Derrick Henry more on his rushing yards, Lamar Jackson more on his rushing yards. Life's too short to take the less. Am I right? Nico Collins, more on rushing and receiving touchdowns, and James Cook, more on rushing and receiving yards. You can use my picks, go against them. Just do it over on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. All you got to do, as you saw my lineup, choose 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then go more or less and watch the winnings roll in. And it's playoff time, now or never. So get your lineups in for all the playoff action. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks. $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So head on over to PrizePicks. And it's not just the Houston Texans, because your Houston Rockets are El Fuego right now. 42 points, Jalen Green. Are you kidding me? So if you don't want to maybe put in a PrizePicks lineup for football, maybe you look towards basketball. Maybe you look towards another sport, MMA. I love me some MMA fights. They have that on there as well. So go check it all today over at PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, so as you kind of saw a little teaser with my PrizePicks lineup, I want Stroud to run the ball more. We finally saw Stroud. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he has some wheels when he needs to. He's able to evade the rush and able to step up and make some plays happen when he needs to. And we haven't seen that all season out of CJ. We finally saw it in the wild card round. It was like a collective finally, when we saw CJ Stroud run the ball. 6 carries, 42 yards. He had his longest run of his career of 27 yards that set up the Texans to get that field goal before halftime. He finally got some of that swagger back. He looked great up against the Chargers. And speaking of the Chiefs, their only loss of the year, and I know it says they have 2 losses. I'm not counting that Week 18 loss to the Broncos. They rolled over. They died. They let the Broncos win in Week 18. I don't care what anybody tells you about that. Their only loss of the season, in my eyes, was against the Buffalo Bills. Allen was the leading rusher, their quarterback, Josh Allen, with 55 yards. So if you want to beat this Chiefs defense, I think CJ's going to have to run the ball a little bit because they love bringing pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And if you just sit back there and take it, it's going to be a long day for CJ Stroud. He's got to really notice when he doesn't have anybody open, can he get some yards? Can he get away from those negative plays? And maybe even pick up some first downs here or there, because the Chiefs, they'll want to run some man. They're going to want to bring some pressure. When that happens, CJ's got to be able to identify it, either get into a hot route or use his legs and pick up some yardage for this Texans offense. Speaking of that as well with CJ Stroud, not forcing the deep ball. I think, he got a little testy. We got Texans fans, I'm not going to lie. We got very lucky with that Derwin James non-interception call in the end zone. But besides that, I thought CJ did a really good job of picking and choosing where he kind of takes those shots downfield. I think he did a much better job up against LA of finding the check down and not always forcing a deep ball into double or triple coverage. He did much better in doing that and not taking sacks, because a lot of the times I feel like CJ, he's waiting for things to come open downfield. He's looking, he's waiting, and then he gets sacked. Takes those negative plays. Not as much up against the Chargers. He still took some bad plays, but I think he did much better. And one reason for that was rookie Cade Stover was a very nice safety blanket for CJ Stroud. 4 receptions, 28 yards, a long of 11. So had some good little, pickups from CJ Stroud, where I guarantee you in those 4 receptions, I don't think any of those Cade Stover was the number 1 target for CJ Stroud in any of those plays. I would say he was a check down safety valve guy, and he was able to pick up yardage and keep this Texans offense ahead of the sticks. And that kind of gets into my last point for this Texans offense. No 3rd and longs. If you're going to get into those situations, the Chiefs are going to make you pay. And that is kind of going with these first 2, right? You got to stay ahead of the sticks. Need to limit the 3rd and longs. Stop being predictable on first down and running the ball with Joe Mixon. I've seen so many times first down, automatic, run up the middle with Joe Mixon, gets 1 or 2 yards. It's 2nd down and 9, and then you're really behind the sticks and forcing 3rd and longs and 2nd and longs. And along with that, you can't take those sacks and penalties that keep on putting you behind the sticks, because up against the Chargers, even though the Texans offense did much better, this is very alarming. On 3rd and long, and for me, categorizing 3rd and long is anything over 7 yards. So 3rd and 7 or longer. The Texans were 1 of 9 on 3rd and long situations on offense. Not good. Good news is Chiefs defense, 43.3% third down conversion rate for that Chiefs defense, which is not good either. 26 in the NFL. So as long as you're able to keep it third and manageable, I think you're going to be able to move the ball and keep the Texans offense on the field. And that's what you want to do up against the Chiefs, right? You want to see less of Patrick Mahomes. You want to see less of this Chiefs offense. And the way to do that is to keep on converting third downs and keep this offense on the field. And how do you do that as well? You can't have 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, 3rd and long like that and just think, oh yeah, Stroud's going to be able to get us out of that. No, you got to keep it third and manageable. Play the down and distance game a little bit. And how you do that is you can't shoot yourself in the foot, which this Texans offense has done time and time and time again throughout the year. That's made all of us want to rip our hair out and absolutely have heart attacks throughout the regular season. But I feel like a change is coming. At the end of the day, I know the Texans offense isn't going to win this game. It's going to come down to the Texans defense playing another stellar game. But if you want to win, you also need some offensive output. You need this offense to step up and wake up as well. If you're going to beat the reigning, defending, undisputed NFL Lombardi holders, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, you got to win on all three phases. And that doesn't mean the offense needs to put up 40 points, but in situations where they can keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, help this defense out a little bit, yeah, they'll need to do just that. And I think those 3 steps, Stroud running the ball, making sure you're not in 3rd and long situations, and not forcing the deep ball, taking what the defense gives you. If the Texans are able to do these 3 things, improve on this and kind of build off that Chargers win, could be an upset in Kansas City come Saturday. And a reminder, an hour before kickoff, I will be live here on the channel, 2:30 Central Time. Don't miss a single moment of Texans football. Go down, hit that subscribe button, join the Texans family. We just passed 24,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 25,000. So hit that sub button, turn on those notifications, and let's go Texans.